Okay, so now we're going to add an LED strip. So I've got this 30 light bulb LED strip, and we're going to add it to our shield. This is the nice thing about using a shield. We don't have to use alligator clips or breadboards or anything. But what we have to pay attention to is where we're going to plug it in. So on our Crowtail shield, on the sides, you'll see where they've got little numbers. They're really hard to see. But usually if you're working with a middle schooler or a high schooler, they usually have good eyes. They can read it. So you'll see little numbers that say P0, P1, P2. We're going to plug this one into P0. Okay? And that's important because that's where the Microbit is going to look for the strip. So we have to install an extension. You can install the extension called NeoPixel. Okay? And it should show right up when you search. It's usually right at the top, though, of all the extensions because it's pretty popular. So if I search for NeoPixel, right, I get a lot of different things that can use the NeoPixel with lights, and it's the first one that shows up. Okay, I've already got it installed on my code blocks over here. And what we have to do initially is initialize it. We have to tell the Microbit we're attaching it. So I'm going to click on my NeoPixel. And it's already made a variable for me called strip. So I'm kind of think of it as LED light strip. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that in my on start block. And notice that's where it said P0. That's my pin number. Right? You can plug it into any of the other pins. I like P0 just because that's the default for this particular block. And I'm going to change it to 30 light bulbs because this one has 30. Different strips will have different numbers. It kind of depends on what it is that you bought. But most of them ones in our kits have 30 LED bulbs. And that's going to turn it on. Okay. Now if we want to test it that it's working, right, I can do an input. I can do on button A. And I can go to my NeoPixel block. And I can say strip show color red. And then say B. I want it to be blue, let's say. Okay. So now if I download this, all right, I've got my data showing up on my screen, and if I hit A, I've got red. If I hit B, I've got blue. Okay. It looks like it's taking a little bit of energy, so it's not quite blue all the way. Blue takes a lot of energy. Awesome. All right. So we know my LED strip works. Okay. Now, next thing that I want to do is I'm going to get rid of my input A's and B's because I'm not really going to use it that way, and I'm going to unplug my LED strip here just for the camera reasons. What I want to do is I want to use my LED strip to show something. Like if it is too hot, I want something to give me an indicator that it's too hot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to create another function, and let's say I'm gonna make this function say control LED strip. So I want it to control my strip, right? I'm creating something to have something to take over my LED strip. So I'm gonna do done. There I've got my new function. And in order, say, for it to turn red if the temperature is X, or Y if the temperature is B, I want to have a logic statement, right? Because that's a basic if-then statement. So that is going to be under my logic block. All right, so notice I've got these if-true statements. I'm just going to grab the top one because it's easy. And notice it's got a true. So if something is true, do this. I want to set up a couple of conditions. So I'm going to say I want to compare two things. So I'm going to grab an inequality and I'm going to replace that if statement. So now I've got if 0 is less than 0. We know that's wrong. But I want to know if the air temperature that my sensor is reading, I'm going to get that number from my variables. Let's say if that temperature is over 84. Okay, remember I'm in Fahrenheit. I want my LED strip to turn red. Now, if it's less than 84, I'm going to want my LED strip. I can go back to my NeoPixel. Let's say I want it to be green, right? As a happy sign, right? Usually green is considered good, red is considered bad, you know, if we go by traffic lights. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to make sure I get all my functions in my forever loop. So I've got 3 functions made, and if I want all of them, I should have 3 functions in my forever loop. Okay, and now I'm going to download this, and let's see what happens. I do have to make sure I plug my LED strip into P0, and it's green right now. That must mean my temperature is under 84. Right now my temperature is 82. So I'm going to try to warm up my air temperature sensor here. And let's see where it goes. Oh, there it is. It's now 87. I can get it warm in a hurry. 89. So now I've got it turned red. Okay. Pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to unplug that just so it's not so bright. Okay. And that is how I control my LED strip. Okay. But you could do exactly the same thing with temperature, or I mean with humidity. So I could take this entire if statement, I'm going to copy it, and I can put it in the same function if I wanted to. Okay, so I could just change these to say if humidity is greater than 50, right? Maybe I want this to be purple, but if it's okay, I want it to be white. Okay, so I can download this again. These two are going to fight each other a little bit, right? Because these two conditions are going to maybe be simultaneously at the same time, so things are going to go back and forth. But that's basically how you would do it, is you could create another function, and you could have that function govern the humidity, or you can have a more complicated function where you want to have if the humidity and the temperature is the same. And that's what we're actually going to do next. Because the one weakness of this, when I download it, you will see it, is that they're going to fight each other. And it's going to be a little tough to tell. Because at times the temperature is going to be over 80. It is currently 87 and my humidity is 63. So actually let me change this to 70. Actually I'm going to change this to 80. Okay, and I'm going to re-download it. So my LED strip will be white. Alright, but notice it's got that kind of vibrating thing going on. That's because it's trying to go back and forth between red and white really fast. Okay, I could slow this down a little bit by putting in a pause block right in between those two if statements. And let's say of 2 seconds. I'll re-download it. Oops, let me reconnect my Microbit here. Okay, so it's downloading. Okay, so now if I stick this in to my shield, okay, I'm gonna get my data, so it's gonna be red, and now it goes white, and that's probably gonna go back to red again here. Okay, will it? Nope, it's gonna keep fighting it. So that's why we don't typically do it this way. Okay, we're gonna see how you can actually set up a more complicated statement that kind of gets what you want in a better way.